Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I am Rishi Harinan and C News is live at noon.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed with sport.
And Nasira, I just want to keep you for a second again. The West Indies just 5 wickets away from beating Pakistan.
That's correct, Rishi. They're 5 wickets away and 2 sessions remaining, but they're currently on lunch. So I'll have details on that and much more when we come back in the sports later on.
Thank you very much, Nasira. So a lot more on sports a little bit later. But over 18,000 students are at this time sitting the secondary entrance assessment exams at 546 schools throughout the country. The exams, math, English and essay writing, are expected to be completed at around 1 o'clock. Before the exam, scores of parents took their children to their respective schools and wished them their final good luck. Some parents more nervous than others.
I try not to look like that in front of my son, but yes, I am quite nervous. Oh yes, most definitely. We had a lot of challenges. I mean, it's the SE exam, which is not supposed to be the end of the world, but you know, it's a huge exam for the boys. So yes, a lot of preparation took place, late nights, Sundays lessons, you know, a lot.
Well, I just cool. I take everything cool right through and then relaxing. And I ain't fussing like, oh, other brother fuss with the exam, because I know my child will do very well because the preparation was good with him and he's relaxed also.
18,240 students were registered to write SCA, with boys numbering 9,193 and girls numbering 9,047. Well, the head of the National Primary School Principals Association, Coghlan Griffith, says so far there have been no reports of any issues.
We envision smooth running today. We wanted to congratulate all our children this morning and to wish them all the best. We want to thank all teachers for volunteering of the time and all principals, and we envision smooth running of SCA today. All things are in place and we have no reports of any incident so far. So as far as we are concerned and we know, we envision a smooth running and another successful year of the SCA exam.
And tutor is also reporting no problems with the SCA. The second Vice President, Curler Robertson Thomas, says so far it has been calm.
Reports, as far as I know, of anything going awry with any of the examinations. Nothing has come to us this morning indicating that persons have had any troubles. In fact, in the last week or so, only one district, if you know the arrangement that was made this year, teachers were to supervise the exam in neighboring schools. Most districts were okay. One district, some persons they did not volunteer, but they were asked to work, and that's because that district is a sizable district and maybe the amount of volunteers were not adequate enough. But other than that, everything seems to go.
In the area where there was a small hiccup, she said the size of the district was perhaps the reason for teachers' hesitation to volunteer to supervise the children.
In the St. George's area, there are about 90 or so primary schools, so you could understand that they would have a need for more teachers to volunteer, and you always need to have some persons willing to step in should an emergency occur. On the day for persons who are assigned, you always need to have a pool of persons available. We are really hoping that the students get through this exercise with as much ease as possible. We know that the ministry did do a lot of restoration works in many of the schools that were deficient for lighting and those things in order to have the day run as smoothly as possible.
To some other news now, and the Couva North Member of Parliament, Ramona Ramdial, is calling on the Tobago House of Assembly to account for the $12 million spent on the Jazz Festival. In a statement, she said over the last 11 years, the Tobago Jazz Festival has not been profitable, and this year there were air bridge and sea bridge problems, which resulted in a low turnout at the event. She said today people deserve to know if any revenue was generated from this $12 million investment or if it attracted international tourists to Tobago. The Tobago Truckers Association is not happy with how the 2 vessels used to transport items between Trinidad and Tobago are working. One of the concerns raised is the amount of money they have to pay drivers when their vehicles reach on the island, because owners are not allowed to travel on the boat.
If you send your vehicle down, you'll pay a driver for 1 day. Now you have to pay him for 2 days because he will take it off today, load today, and tomorrow he'll put it back on the vessel. What is happening? The vessel leaves Trinidad. The vessel starts loading Trinidad at 10 to 10:30, and they're supposed to depart at 12 for Tobago. When you leave Tobago like 12 midnight and you get in like 8 o'clock, there is no way you could get to Trinidad if you didn't take the 1:30 flight. If you go down on the 6:30 sailing, you won't get into Trinidad until 10 o'clock. By that time, they will already have started preparation for the voyage back to Tobago.
He also raised concerns about salt deposits on the boat.
If you travel on the fast ferries and your vehicle at the back of it, you will get that same sort of deposit, but not as much when you are traveling like 16 hours on the barge from Trinidad to Tobago.
Well, they will be having meetings to discuss the matter. It will start on Sunday. This is the C News Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at C News Live. Chartered surveyor Afro Raymond says government should have set up an online electronic system where people can go and enter information for the property tax valuation. He said as it stands, people have to print out the form and drop it in personally, and this can cause a backlog.
Let's get with it and let's create a database online so that someone can sit at home, put their name in, put their contact details in, put their property details in, enter the number of their WASA receipt, and press enter. And it turns up in the computer, the Ministry of Finance, and there's less paper.
He also expressed concern that all religious institutions will be given exemptions under the Property Tax Act.
You know, in olden days, the church used to be something that was a kind of a refuge for poorer people and so on and so on. But what is happening now in Trinidad and Tobago, it's my view, that some of the churches which have these full-color advertisements and appear to be very much commercial leaning, some of them really resemble very big businesses. So I think, in my own opinion, I'm not comfortable that places of worship and religious groups are enjoying what appears to be a blanket exemption.
And you can join Talk City 91.1 FM from 8:05 a.m. tomorrow as we answer questions about property tax on the program Property Tax, Your Questions Answered. Well, to some news just coming in, police are at the scene in St. Madeleine where a headless body was found. CNews understands the discovery was made just before 11 a.m. and officers responded to Stanleyville, an old railway line settlement located north of the UC St. Madeleine sugar factory. Reports say the body was clad in a pair of blue-colored jeans, dark-colored jersey, and the body could not have been identified or could have been at the location for about a week due to the state of the composition. We will have more in a subsequent newscast. Here now is Ian Wallace with your afternoon weather.
The dry season is still with us. We await the start of the wet season. May is usually that bridge between the dry and the wet season, and we are seeing some cloudiness today that will likely produce some showers. But the showers will only be scattered across most of the hillsides, but it will also feel quite humid with a high of 34 degrees Celsius set for Trinidad and 31 degrees Celsius in Tobago. For boaters, look for easterly winds of 50 knots and wind waves of 2 meters through the Caribbean, possibly pushing 2.5 further out in the Atlantic with some white caps around. Look for your low tide at 5:30 p.m. That's the latest weather, and I am Meteorologist Ian Wallace.
Financial investment analyst David Walker is again calling for something to be done about the CLICO issue, as he said millions of dollars a year is being wasted. He said since the start of the year he has been trying to get answers from the governor of the central bank, but is yet to get a response. He said, however, based on discussions, there are about 2 ways to go from here, one of which is to have the company removed from around the necks of the taxpayer.
We don't know how much the debt is because the minister has said he doesn't know, which is a story all on its own. Let's assume it's $10 billion. The CLICO enterprise pays no interest on that. So if they pay us in 10 years' time, it will still be $10 billion. So we are losing the equivalent of the interest every year simply by standing still and doing nothing.
He said action must be taken right now because of the past 8 years there have been talk about criminal action against those who were in charge of the company, but up till now nothing has been done. He said we cannot afford to give up that much money.
So we're losing $500 million a year while the government stalls on making a decision about returning CLICO to the shareholders. There's the issue of whether it's even lawful to continue the control in the hands of the government when in fact the conditions that gave rise, which was the threat to the economy and so on, have long since passed. And that was one of the questions we asked of the central bank governor.
Chairman of the Economic Advisory Board, Terence Farrell, says poor leadership is leading to the underachievement in this country and noted too often people are placed in positions they are not qualified for.
Some persons are placed in positions which are beyond their knowledge and capabilities. They may be given ministerial office or chairmanship of a state enterprise. In some cases, these people do not know that they do not know, what my brother called two-story ignorance, and then they proceed to make terrible mistakes. In other cases, they accept the position because of the status it confers, but they know in their hearts that they will accomplish little or nothing during their tenure, and they set about to enjoy the perks.
He said the underachievement seems to be something cultural in this country, and now it seems people are not trusting those in authority.
Many are willing to accept and occupy office. Few are prepared to fall on their swords when things go wrong. Occasionally, some get thrown under the bus. So it is not surprising that Trinidadians and Tobagonians do not trust their institutions, the president, the government, the parliament, the judiciary, and the media.
It is illegal to sell vehicles with fog lights. This from Transport Commissioner Wayne Richards. He was responding to concerns raised by President of the Trinidad and Tobago Automotive Dealers Association, Visham Babwa, who said foreign used car owners are charged by police officers when they do not have a letter stating that their vehicles came with fog lights. Mr. Babwa said when members of the public purchase showroom vehicles, they are provided with a letter stating that it's a part of the vehicle's make. However, his concerns were addressed by Mr. Richards.
But you have guide lights, which are the lights you're talking about in the bumper and these things. And if these vehicles are registered by the Transport Division, you do not need a letter. The authority comes from the Transport Division, and they have inspected these vehicles and registered them, and you don't need a letter.
He said they are trying to look for a solution to the problem.
Kind of scurrilous and unhappy to know that we are still having such problems where certain officers do not understand exactly what's happening, but we will trash out all of that. I was having some discussion with the TTPS and also my own body, and we will discuss that a little further and clarify that once and for all.
And the Transport Commissioner Wayne Richards said efforts are being made to deal with corruption at licensing offices. It is alleged that in 2017 it cost $3,000 for a driver's permit at any licensing office in Trinidad and Tobago without doing the regulation or driving test.
We cannot make cast aspersion without we could identify these things. Now, we have been hearing these things. More than that, at most of the locations we are moving things forward at a pace. For instance, people come through Caroni and walk through there in a half an hour and things like that. So if people are still doing that, we want to take out all of them. As a matter of fact, I have put assistant transport commissioners in charge of particular offices, and they report.
We have sport now, and Nasira is here with me. Nasira, our control team is praying that the West Indies keep up the good work so far.
First time I'm seeing something like that happening. Normally they're against all our cricket talk here in the office. But yes, that's right. Pakistan are 5 wickets down and West Indies are 5 wickets from victory. With 2 sessions remaining, they're currently on lunch.
Well, that's how we end the C News report at noon. I'm Rishi Harinanan.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed.
Remember, for breaking news, you can visit our website at ctvtt.com.
And remember to join us here on CTV from 3 p.m. for live broadcast of the TTCB T20 Festival from the Taruba Stadium, the Brian Lara Academy Stadium in Taruba. Have a good afternoon.